Welcome back to day 3 of global transformation and why now is the best time to activate your inner brilliance. I'm Lisa and I am here, of course, with my partner, Melissa. And hey, Melissa, how are you?
Hey, I am good. I am ready to jump into another day of training and talking about your inner brilliance.
Wonderful. Let's go.
Yeah, let's review. We always like to start with a little review of what we've talked about. So we've talked about why now is the time. We talked about the global transformation, everything else, the energies.
Yeah, and what is your inner brilliance? What is that thing you do that is so easy to you? It's like breathing that you almost don't even really realize it. Like, what is that? We talked about how to kind of tune into that. You got a worksheet in video 1 that helped you look at the patterns in your life. Hope you did the worksheet. If not, you can always go back and get it. That gives you an idea of what are those pieces that stood out for you.
Mm-hmm. And we also talked about what stops people from actively engaging in their inner brilliance and activating it. And we'll get into that a little bit further as we get into today too.
Yep.
This is one of your favorite quotes.
It really, really is. And you know, it's one of those ones that it hits you like poof, right in your head when you hear it. And it hit me like that. It's Danielle Agnew, a psychic and a teacher. She's an amazing person. And she said, we put off engaging with our greatest purpose because it will change our life forever. And I can attest to that. Melissa can attest to that. And the thing is that we want to point out to you is maybe that change is all good stuff. But we're also busy being worried about the change being bad stuff that we kind of defer to that instead of looking for what the good stuff could be.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Change is good. And we're all going through change right now, whether we want to or not. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't, it fits with everything that we're doing. And talking about your inner brilliance and evolution, not only the evolution of the world and the transformation that we're going through right now, but your personal evolution and how that works. And your inner brilliance it's not going to be something you go, ping, boom, here's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, or here's what's going to happen. It evolves and it grows as you evolve and you grow. And if you are anyone about our age, I know this is terrible to say, but have patience, grasshopper. And, take it as it comes and realize that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. Right. You'll be able to understand what it is. You'll be able to activate it and you'll be able to work with it, and it will change and grow and evolve as you change and grow and evolve.
Right. Right. And your understanding of it and your perspective of it changes as you age and you mature and as you work with it. That's the cool thing. So, I can know that my work here is to be a channel for divine wisdom. Okay, great. That's great. How do I work with it so that it enhances me, myself, my work, my way of being in the world? And as I do that, and that's the thing, as you do that work, as you work with it, then you expand and grow, and then different opportunities and different levels show up on that. And it's so cool to watch that. So it's not like you get this piece of paper that says, your purpose is this. And you're like, well, that's nice. Okay, then you throw it away, right? No, it kind of comes as a dawning realization of what has always been there for you. And then you actively engage with it. And then you both evolve and grow and evolve and grow.
Yep. It's a big learning process. And I also wanted to mention the joy of being in alignment with your purpose and your brilliance. Mm-hmm. Lisa, you are so good at talking about this because you know how it feels whenever you channel.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I have to tell you that it first started when I wanted to be a lawyer or a journalist. And then in my senior year of high school, I took a psychology course. And I was like, I am home. These are my people. Like, I knew, okay, this is where we're going, right? So that was an alignment from where I was before. Okay, we're going to work with what makes people do what they do? Like, that's my big question in life. My husband says it'll be on my tombstone. Here lies Lisa, perpetually wondering, what's that about? Because I want to know what that's about. That's my thing. So as I got in alignment with that, then, and I followed that path, I was going to be a therapist, I followed that path, then other paths opened up. But each time I knew the feeling of click, oh, okay, all right, I see where we're going with that. Until I reached this piece where I am a channel for divine wisdom, and I know that. And I know it because I do it. And when I do it, I could fly around the room because I'm so happy doing it, and it's my thing, and I love it. Like, what's that phrase? She's in her element, right? Mm-hmm. I am so in my element. Mm-hmm. And that I know when I complete that work, right, with each session with a client, I can say, yes, that is what I am here for. So when you know that, then you can make choices that align with that. Okay, so if I'm offered an opportunity to help build websites, does that really align with my purpose of being a messenger? It could. I could choose that, or I could not choose that, but I will know, because I know what that alignment feels like in my body, in my soul. I know what that feels like. And I recognize that a lot of people do not. I recognize that. And I think it's really coming back to what you know is true for you, and not looking for that purpose to be outside of you, right? Yeah. And for someone out there to tell you this is what your purpose is, but for you to put the pieces together so that you know what that alignment feels like. Have you had that experience, Melissa?
Yeah, I was just thinking of the really funny story of after I had quit college. I went to college for 4 years and decided that that was not the path that I wanted to take. So I quit before I got my degree, and I ended up working on a horse farm. And I decided at that point that I wanted to be a jockey because it was a childhood dream. And I remember my dad loves me so much. And he came to the horse farm one day, and he would come and visit me at the work I did because he thought it was kind of neat. But he said to me, and I'll never forget, he said, when are you going to stop shoveling horse shit and get a real job? Because that wasn't his idea of what I could do with my life, but it was my idea. And I said, no, I want to be a jockey, and I'm going to be a jockey. I don't just want it, I am going to. And this is the path that I've chosen. And I enjoy this. I did not enjoy that other thing. I'm not going to go back and finish a degree and be miserable again. Yeah. So knowing that, it's not always that stark reality, I wasn't making as much money as I could have at the time, but I was in my element, it was getting to that point, even though I wasn't a jockey yet. I was enjoying the environment and what I was doing, and I knew I was on purpose and heading in the right direction.
That's right.
When you know that, you know it, that you feel it, there's no question about it. And since then, I've had a lot of different coaches and gurus and whatnot telling me that go this way, go that way, do this, do that. And every time I'm just like, no, that's not. I tried it. I tried. And but you can feel it. And that's part of what we're working on here, is helping you identify the difference between.
I think everybody probably has an experience. If you've not had the experience of being fully in alignment, I bet you've had an experience of being way the hell out of alignment, where yeah. Oh my God, I'm not supposed to be here. That happened at my last job. I left and then I went back, and then I left and then I went back. And the last time I went back, honestly, it hurt my soul, which is ridiculous because I wasn't doing anything I didn't do before, but my soul had grown and my soul had expressed itself in one way. And this felt like I was being shoved into a box. I worked in a space called the cage, and it was a perfect metaphor for how I felt at that time. And it was so out of alignment that I couldn't. It was like, I have to go. How do you tell your boss, I'm sorry, but my soul is crying and I have to go? I did tell him that, and he was like, I know, I get you. I love him. But that's the thing. You know when it's not.
Right.
But you don't always know when it is. And that's what we kind of hope to help open up for you a little bit here.
Yep. And it grows and evolves, just like we were just talking about. So there's part of that. Oh, here's one of the things that I wanted to include. Part of when I talk to people about freedom, I have an ABC format. There are 6 steps to freedom. And what we're doing here is so in alignment with that. It's not just freedom, it's following your path, following your soul, following your brilliance. And I wanted to kind of just cover those steps real quick so you get an idea of where we are. Mm-hmm. And the first step is awaken, which is everybody who's here watching this video is already in this step right now. In it or done it. You have awakened to the understanding and the knowing that there's more out there, or there's something you're looking for. So you have awakened. The next step is to believe, and that's a lot of where we are right now. It's believing. Yes, I believe in myself, and I believe in the possibilities. The third step is clarifying, and that's really where it comes to finding out what your inner brilliance is, where it can take you, how you can go forward with your best life of joy. You know, that's what we want to help people to get to. The other steps are pretty simple, and they're steps you have to follow to get to wherever you want to be, and that's to decide. Once you find out what your inner brilliance is and how it can work with you, is decide, what are you going to do with that? Mm-hmm. And then the next step after that, if I can get my little clicker to work, is execute. And that's actually taking action. One of the big things we do here, Lisa, is we don't just talk, we give you steps. We give you steps. We give you things outlined and what to do. So action is so important. You don't get anywhere without it. And then the last one is focus. To focus on it and understand, and to learn the things like it's going to evolve. Like you were just saying, Lisa, you know when you're out of alignment, when it is not right, when your soul is not happy. And that's that focus and that understanding and that knowing. So these are just the really quick steps that can lead you to freedom, that can lead you to your magic, your joy, your brilliance, your abundance, all of that. And they're so easy because it's A, B, C, D, E, F. They're so easy to remember. And this was a drop-in that I had channeled to me. One day I'm sitting there going, oh, you know what? I want to make this into a process. It's like, here it is, here it is, here it is. I'm like, oh, that's really neat. So I just wanted to share that with the group today and in our free training, that these are the things and to go along, and you'll go back and forth between them. You know, you'll decide, and then you'll have to believe in your decision. You'll execute, and you'll have to clarify your action. So they kind of do go back and forth a little bit, and continually focus on each step. So did you want to say anything about the steps?
No, but I do want to say that Melissa's had this process for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And she does stuff with it, and then she like kind of steps back, and it was like, oh, here's where it goes. Like, that's so funny, because that's that beautiful process of following the energy, where you can download something and it might not fit anywhere where you are now, but that place will show up, and it did. And yay.
Yep, and it'll come up again, I am sure. Yep.
So we're going to look at the 4 essential elements or keys to activating your inner brilliance and living true to your purpose. And these are 4 we've come up with that in our life have been very important. And so we're going to share them with you. So Melissa, what's the first one? Courage.
Yep.
You need the courage to be able to, one, jump off that rope like that person is doing there, right? You need the courage to step up and step out and say, this is who I am. When I had a caveat, it is much easier to do when you are older and you get to the point where like, oh, who cares what other people say, right? You get to that point, but there'll always be somebody in your life that you do care what they say. And so it's like Melissa's dad came by and kind of, you know, nudged her like, what are you doing with this, right? And she had the courage to say to him, this is where I'm happy. It may be mucking the horse stalls, but I'm happy doing that, right? I'm happy. So the courage comes when you can really step out and claim it to yourself first, and then share it with others, knowing that it doesn't matter what they say. I mentioned Wayne Dyer in our last video, and one of the things that he taught me was detach from the good opinion of others, right? Meaning it doesn't matter whether they like you or they don't like you. Let all of that go. It does not matter. So when you look at courage, detach from the good opinion of others who love you. Melissa's dad loved her. He wanted her to do well. That's where that came from. And stand in the courage of what you know is true. Does that make sense, Melissa?
It does. And just real short story I want to share with one of my most courageous moments, and you know this, Lisa, is that I had a house, a business in my house, taking dogs. I took your dogs in there and watched your dogs, and a very lucrative, well-to-do business. But I knew somewhere deep down inside of my soul, I knew that if I kept doing that, that I would just continue to do that and then die. And I would never live my purpose. I knew that. I didn't know what my purpose was at the time, but I knew that I had finished that stage and it was time to move on. Even though I was doing well, I loved what I was doing. It's not that I hated it. It's just I felt that urge to move, to do something. And what I wanted to do was to sell everything I owned, buy an RV and live in the RV and travel in the RV. And it took a couple of years, and it took everything I had, and it took a lot of courage. But that knowing, this is where understanding your inner brilliance and being able to focus on where it is you want to go, that gives you the courage to move forward. And that's one of the most important things. And I did that. I sold everything and I drove away in not only an RV, but the RV of my dreams, a 44-foot fifth wheel. That when I originally started, I never thought I could afford the RV of my dreams or ever be able to do what I ended up doing. And it's that moves on. And the next few things that we're going to talk about actually help with courage and help with all that. And then we have ways at the end of this slide to help you actually put all that into action. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself. So we'll jump up to the next one here.
Well, one last thing about courage before we move to confidence is that courage can also be just claiming it to yourself. So when Melissa, in her example, right, when it came to her, like, the energy of this project has changed, right? And I can stay here and create this decent income and still do it, or I can do something different, right? So the courage really comes way before the action. The courage also comes from looking at your different options, right? She didn't shut anything off. This is what she wanted to do. What about in this RV? Did she want to go here? Where did she want to go, right? And so that's the thing, is that it comes in that tiny moment where you admit to yourself, this is what I want to do. And it's that, what do they call that? That small, still voice, right? So it's not the voice that's like, you ought to get an RV and go drive around and do the, it's not that voice. That's your ego voice, right? But it's the voice that says, my soul is dying in that space. I can't be here anymore. And it took me a long time to claim that. Like, it took me about a month of saying that to myself, where I was able to, like, then say it to my husband and then say it to my boss. That I have to go. So that courage isn't always the big splashy act. It is that small, still voice where you acknowledge, I'm not happy here. What else is available? All right, so confidence is our next one of these important essential keys. And that confidence comes, again, once you really have admitted to yourself, this is what I want to do, then you can be confident, you can be centered in that choice, right? You're confident. And that doesn't mean you don't have doubts. But you know that that's the path that you're going to walk. I knew once I started the print stuff, that would be the path I would walk until the energy changed. And it actually did change. And he and I both kind of went quiet for a little while, and then the energy shifted and we came back together in a different way. So the confidence also is to follow the energy. That's a big piece. Okay. So, Melissa and I, we talked about this in our group, but we started out doing one thing, right? We were going to focus on and train and work with people on one topic. And then the energy changed. And we were like, okay, none of that matters anymore. All right. So you follow the energy. And we could have stuck with that other one. We could have stuck with it and said, no, this is what we plan to do. We're going to go ahead with this. And there would have been nothing wrong with that. We might not have expanded ourselves. I think this was the most expansive path. We had the confidence to say, and I think she and I didn't even say it out loud to each other. I think sometimes Melissa and I talk telepathically, that we both just knew. We knew, something's changed. okay, let's go in this direction. That's confidence in following that inner voice. Is that what you would say, Melissa?
Yeah, I like the way that you look at it as a path, because confidence isn't just something that turns on and turns off. It grows, it builds, it moves, it shifts. Of all the shifting that we did when we first started, the very first day together, we both said to each other, this is going to lead to something more. We know it. We were confident in knowing it was going to lead somewhere. We weren't confident in knowing what it was. We had no idea, but we were confident in knowing that it was going to go somewhere. And sometimes it can be like a partial confidence. Like, okay, I know that this is not right. I don't know what's right, but I need to start moving in this direction. So your confidence is something that grows and builds and moves and shifts, and it's a path that leads different directions. It's not, to me anyway, it's not just something that you go, okay, I'm confident, let's go. You know,
right. It's not an all-consuming confidence, but when you feel that alignment, or when you feel that misalignment, I bet you're much more confident in knowing what's a misalignment than what is an alignment, right? So, okay, at least you know what that confidence feels like, where you can see the path ahead of you, and it really doesn't matter, right? We're detaching from the opinions, good or bad, of everybody else. So when you get that knowing, when you come across what your brilliance is, you can be confident that no matter where you go with that, if you're following that energy and you're following that alignment, then you're moving in the direction of the most expansion and the most growth.
Yep. Confidence is a very, very important step. Ready to go to step 3?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Woo-hoo. Oh, I forgot our picture of our, click our picture of our confident lady up here.
There you go, right? It takes a lot of confidence to do that. She's going to fly. It looks like she's taking off.
I would, yeah. So, and you know, I think that's a really good picture about having that confidence, because things can look scary as hell or unknown. You know, that's part of it. The unknown is so much a part of that. And confidence and courage, they really go hand in hand. They're different, but they're the same in different aspects. And just working with those two things is the start of getting you where you want to be in life. I really, truly believe that. Then the third thing is one of the reasons we have commit like a boss as our name. And, you know, I had mentioned this, I think, in one of the very first videos. If you want anything in life, if you want any kind of success, personal, business, financial, climbing that rock, whatever it happens to be, the first thing to do is to commit yourself to doing it. And that's why I think that commitment is one of the most important cornerstones of the whole thing. That's why we stayed with the name Commit Like a Boss, because committing to yourself, committing to your goals, committing to the spirit, to the universe is so important.
Oh, it really is. And, you know, the whole commitment piece came out of something I was listening to by Carolyn Mace. And she was asking, like, how many people in the audience trust themselves, and hands went up, and my hand at home went up. And she said, how many people trust themselves to keep their promises? And I was like, put my hand down, because I thought, I say I'm going to do stuff and then I don't. Why don't I? And I went on this big, like, vision quest, like thinking about it and talking about it. What does it mean? Why am I not committing to this? Why do I commit to standing 8 hours in the sun to see the rock star I love, but I don't commit to, you know, doing what I'm doing, right? And so I remember being at lunch with Melissa talking about this and just mulling it over. And that's where our Facebook group came from, because we said, let's commit to each other. Really, we were doing it for each other. Let's commit to each other that we would show up live in this Facebook group Monday through Friday at 2:30 p.m. every day, no matter what. And we did. And then by doing that, then this work started flowing, right? So when you commit to one thing, then it can grow from that. The rest of it comes from that commitment. And if you're not committing to things, well, maybe it's not that important to you, right? That's a big one, because go back and look at the things that have been challenging, that you have committed to and you've done.
Yep.
Right? What was the importance, and how does that differ from the things that you don't end up following through with? That's kind of how I look at commitment, and that's why it's important when you're working with your soul and your purpose. Commit to that work in whatever way you can right now.
Absolutely. And it's an evolution too. Just every step and every outcome of what we're talking about is an evolution. It's an ongoing process. You know, there's so many layers to it involved. It's so fun. It's like peeling an onion. It's like, oh, let's get, you know, and it's always evolving with us. Even though we committed to each other in the beginning with Commit Like a Boss, we had no idea where it was going, but we knew, you know, that's talking about, it's courage and confidence and commitment all together. Everything works and interlocks like Lego pieces, you know, just building blocks that work on each other. Right. And that's part of the commitment, is just saying, okay, we're going to do it even though we don't know what the end result is right now. Sometimes you know what the end result is. So it's always a little bit different to work with, but there's a lot to do with commitment. And I think it's one of the biggest cornerstones there is.
Absolutely. And it all starts with that. All of this started with Melissa and I saying, yes, we will commit to each other to show up for this. And then we followed where the universe led us. Yep. With confidence and courage.
Yep, with confidence and courage. And now we're here committing to you, watching this video, committing to you get to your help, which brings us actually to number 4, which is also a very, very important piece or key or element to the whole process of activating your inner brilliance, and that is community. Community can just be more than one person. You know, when you're by yourself, there's a whole different, what's the word I'm looking for? A whole different alchemy of it. But when you add community, just by Lisa and I getting together, we became a community to each other, and we committed to each other, which helped us each build our courage and our confidence, which led us back around to the commitment, which helped us stay on, you know, on line for our commitment, which helps us build a bigger community, which is why we're putting ourselves out here in front of everybody else. I hope I'm making this understandable, because to me, it fits so well together, that community, whether it's 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 people, we all know how strong community.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we're in a time now where people are looking at community in a different way, where, you know, Zoom meetings, like for Easter, my family, you know, we all got on Zoom, and it was very chaotic, I will tell you that, which is sort of like how we are in person. But we got on Zoom and we all connected and just saw each other's faces and just said hi, you know. And I am a very highly introverted person. If it's just me, it's like a party in my head all the time, because I'm always hearing guides and teachers. And so I don't really have a big need for that. But I can tell you that in the times where I've taken steps out of my comfort zone, having that community has been everything to me. On a day-to-day basis, I might not feel the need necessarily to do that, but when it comes to trying something different or showing more of myself or whatever, that to have people around who want you to do well and who see you, I think that's really the big part of the community, is that people see you and they love you and support you in just a really nice way that feels good. And that's been the brilliance of Melissa and I working together. I mean, we both work on our own separately, and then but coming together, it's nice to have somebody to bounce ideas off of. And we work so well together that I can say, like, I don't like this, or she can say, I don't like that, and nobody takes it personally. We're like, oh, okay, that's great. All right, let's keep going. Right? It's a beautiful energy. And when you expand that out into a community of people who see each other and who want each other to do well, that's amazing. You have that, Melissa, with those women from that other coaching group, don't you?
Yeah, I was in a coaching group with a bunch of other women, and myself and a couple of other women actually stayed together. And this was 2 years ago now, and we have been meeting every week for 2 years on Zoom. They're in Canada. I'm down here in the US. They're in different parts of Canada. And it's been so nice to have other people, and to have other people that understand what you're going through and what you're doing, and helping you through that. And like you say, bouncing ideas off, and even having people who know more about other areas than I do, and saying, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? And Lisa, that's what you and I do together. And that's what we're here to do for people in this community too, is to help them with all the years of knowledge. What do we have together? Like over 20 some years of business. And we'll say we
got a lot of years. Trust us. We have a lot of years.
We have more than that of real experience stuff. So, but anyway, yeah, we've got a lot of years of experience, and we want to be able to help other people and bring a community of people together, a tribe, if you want to call it a tribe of people who want to better themselves and have a better life in a way that and I don't mean, when I say better, I don't mean like, oh, let's go out and, I said this before, don't go out and be Mother Teresa or change the world or whatever. Just feeling better.
Be the best you can be. Like, that's what I support in my clients. I want them to be the best person they can be, period. And I support them in reaching for that. And I support anybody. And that's the beautiful community. When you have someone who can see your potential and really want you to get there without any kind of like, I hope she doesn't do too well. Like none of that.
Yeah.
And that it makes a huge difference when everyone is there to grow their soul and to take chances and be supported. In that, magic happens. My friend Angela, who's a wonderful coach, Angela Johnson, builds community like nobody's business. That is her. She's got a million inner brilliances. Like, she's got too many. She was like, took 2 turns in line when God was giving out inner brilliance, because she's got too many. But one of them is creating that community where you feel safe to grow. And that's important. And that's what Melissa and I really, really, really want to grow in our Commit Like a Boss Facebook group and beyond that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Community is another big piece of that.
It
is. One of the things that we wanted to get across here, and I believe you are here because you are not the kind of person that is meant to fit in a box. I don't believe any of us here are. I know Lisa and I aren't, and hopefully you are not meant to be put into a box of someone else's ideas. That's why we went down this path, and that's why we're here today, because we want to help you be yourself, be true to yourself. It's a big piece of it. And a truth to remember, and this is important in especially this global time of transformation and what's going on in the world right now. And if you look back at any time in your life, and Lisa and I have already talked about times in our lives that have been very trying, very difficult, things where we knew we had to change and had to move on. Usually the most trying times of your life will lead to the best opportunities and outcomes. It's like a universal law or truth or something like that. It is just, we all know it. If you think back on some horrible time of your life, something came out of it, something came out of the other side. And that's what we're here to help you get to the other side of one of the most trying times of all of our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can't see it while you're going through it. You can only see it and the gifts in hindsight. So when my goddaughter died in 2006, her voice was the first voice I heard of another person on the other side. I could hear guides and teachers, but her voice was the first one I heard that I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can hear her. And it was the most amazing thing to me and helped me realize that, in that instance, yeah, she's gone in the physical form, but she's always around. She's always around and available. And so that helped me get through that really hard time. And it helped me grow, because I said, if I can hear her, who else can I hear? If I were a medium where I would listen to, and it's so funny because I don't really consider myself a medium, even though I am, because I don't purposely hook up with people, but people fly by when they leave the physical. I often get people just flying by saying bye or see her or whatever, but that opened up a doorway for me. But in the time that happened, I was in such grief that I was glad, but I didn't see the import of it until later. And so I really came to understand that. So you won't be able to see it. Like none of us who are in this coronavirus time period now can see the gifts that will come from it. Some of us might not even be on this earth any longer to see those gifts that come from it, but those who come behind us will. And so as we're working through this energy and we're working to really open up into the gifts that it gives us the best way we can, you just have to go into that trust and know that this is one of those times that you'll look back on it and say, here's what the beauty of it was. But you just can't see it right now. Totally.
Yeah, that's a good truth to remember, because a lot of people are struggling right now, and it's going to be hard to look forward. And all you can do is take that next step.
Yep.
Put one foot in front of the other right now. You don't have to say, okay, I'm going for that place way over there. Just walk the path right now that's right in front of you.
One step.
Yeah.
And speaking of steps.
Speaking of, this was a quote you brought up, Lisa, the other day.
Yep. And it really, this is another one that like ping went off for me, because there is a difference between knowing the path and walking the path. You can know it. Okay, so here's my analogy. Okay, here's the analogy. You are sitting at home in front of your TV and a commercial comes on for cupcakes. And you're like, they look really, really good. I'd love some cupcakes. Well, unless you get your butt up and go into the kitchen and make cupcakes, you have none. You know about cupcakes. You know they look good, but you have not walked your path into the kitchen to create a cupcake, right? So you can have thoughts of cupcakes or real cupcakes, right? I know what I prefer. But so that's the difference, right? Like you can know the path. You know the right thing to do, and you choose to either do it or do a different thing, right?
Yep.
Whatever path you take, as long as you walk it, you start bringing it into action, things change. And that's the thing. Things do not change until you walk the path. They will never, ever, ever change from knowing the path. You have to walk it. You have to walk it.
Yeah, you do. You have to start somewhere. It's the difference between wanting something and taking action towards getting it.
Yeah.
And I put this picture up here because I don't know if everyone has watched The Matrix, but that's Neo in The Matrix stopping a bunch of bullets in midair, and then they just fall. He's like, no, and he lets the bullets fall. And what I want you to get from this picture is that you too will be able to stop bullets in midair. When you start walking the path, beyond knowing it, when you start walking it, you'll be able to stop those bullets, those judgments from other people, those other people's expectations, those things that would have hurt you in the past. They're going to come flying at you, but you'll be able to stop them and stand up to them. And that's all part of that courage and that confidence and that commitment and the community. That's what makes it walking the path, is actually following those steps.
You get to walk the path with other people who are also walking the path. And that's a beautiful thing to see that in action.
That is a beautiful thing. So speaking of walking the path, what are people going to do with all this information?
Yeah, what are you going to do? We want to know. What are you going to do?
What are we going to do? Well, you have a choice. And remember my wave analogy from the other video? You can either get swallowed up and washed ashore by the wave. You can sit in a chair on the sideline and hope the wave goes by without touching you. Or the last thing that you can do is the option that we like and why we're here, is you can be brave and you can ride the wave. And the wave of global transformation that we've talked about this whole workshop series, and why now is the right time, the energies, the frequencies, the transformation that's going on right now is time to ride that wave. And you do have to have that courage and that confidence to be able to do that.
But you also need practice. Look at that guy in the picture, right? He didn't just get up on the board for the first time and ride that wave, right? So all the pieces that we've given you about confidence and commitment and community, you know, all of those pieces and courage really, really go hand in hand with being able to ride the wave. You need those pieces to ride that wave. That's your practice, so that you can be like that guy and stay up upright on that board, right? You need them.
Yep. And that's what part of the fun is with the transformation
That's
that we've
right.
been talking about.
That's right.
And that's why we are absolutely here doing these videos for you today. So here's our question to you.
Would you like some support with this?
That's why we're here, because we can help you. We can help you take control. Take control of your life and live the way you were meant to live, with joy, peace, and abundance. And that comes from what we've been talking about, activating your inner brilliance and really working with it. Not just activating it, but what's the word you use, Lisa? Is engaging with it.
Engaging.
Engaging with it. So it's like, you can activate it and you can light something on fire, but really engaging with it and taking that next step. So we would like to introduce Activating Your Inner Brilliance. It is a 4-week live interactive program to fully engage your inner brilliance. Lisa, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, well, here's the cool thing. So when Melissa and I were putting this together, Metatron, who is a high-level vibrational teacher, he's an archangel. He's pretty big. He's a pretty big wig, I will say that. Metatron rolled in and gave us a process that really will help you tune into what is that brilliance for you, and then release all the things that are not supporting that moving forward. So he gave us a process. It was beautiful. I channeled it. Melissa's writing like a fiend, and we've made sense of how this works with what we want to teach. So we're going to start off each training that we do with this process that Metatron, so this was given to us for this training specifically, to help you release and to bring in what's ready to bloom that week. And so it's not necessarily going to be like, release everything and whoosh, your purpose comes in. It's release, here's a piece, and then release, here's a piece, right? And then we're going to guide you through each one of those 4 pieces that we talked about in a very deep way. We are going to engage with those 4 pieces: the courage, confidence, commitment, and community that's needed, and look at it in how it impacts your life. What does that mean to you? Community may not mean 5,000 people in a big room all doing the same thing. Community may be just like what Melissa and I talk about, me and her together. We're our own little community, right? So what that looks like for you. And the important piece of this training is that we're going to give you ways and steps and all of that to do it so that you can replicate it on your own. As a teacher, one of my big deal things is I want you to know how to do this on your own so that you're not beholden to anyone. You're not beholden to me or Melissa or anybody. You know you have the steps. It's up to you to take them, but you have the steps. And so the important thing we want you to come away with from that training is, what is that inner brilliance? What does that look like? How do I work with this in this new energy? Because the ways that we worked with things before may not fit. They may or they may not. We don't know until we start playing with them. And what are your ideal steps to engage with it in a bigger way? I'm a very big proponent of you finding out what it is for you. And so it's not a theoretical class. This is us walking the path with you, right? So you may know what it is, and we're going to help you know what it is. But then we will walk that path with you so you know what that feels like.
Yep, absolutely. It's live trainings. So the program includes 4 60 to 90-minute group video training / coaching sessions. So every week we're going to come to you live in a meeting. We're going to be talking about things. We're going to be giving you what you need to work with each one of those key elements that we just covered, to build on that whole process and build the whole thing together. So we're not going to just be talking to you on video like this. We're going to be coming to you with you on the video live too. We're going to do Zoom videos, and you'll be there to actually interact and to work with us.
Yep.
All right, where's the next thing? Oh, access to recordings of each session. So if you want to go back and look at it again and go over it again and understand, you know, what we went over. If there's something that you missed, if you don't want to take notes the first time, if you want to go back, you'll get the recordings, you'll get the notes, you'll get anything that is included, any PDFs or worksheets or other materials that go along with the trainings. It's all included in there. It's straightforward. We're not going to inundate you with stuff to do every single day of your life. It's going to be once a week. We're going to talk about something, have you integrate that. We're going to come back the next week for more training. And by the end of it, we will have put all those pieces together in a way that you can actually use them and get real results from them.
And the cool thing, well, one of the cool things is that Melissa and I are both channels. And so you can also expect that as we're doing the training, and we haven't shown you here what that looks like, but when we're doing the training, you can expect to hear from some guides and teachers. Prince might roll through, Metatron might roll through. Melissa works with a group called what are they called?
The Collective.
The Collective, right.
The Collective.
That, you know, as we're talking, they may pop something in. So you're going to get guidance specific to this group, right? So it's not going to be like, oh, here's a channeled message from 5 weeks ago. No, it's that the guides come into the energy that is in that group. What does that group need to know right now? And my rule, and Melissa's rule, I think for her guides too, is you have to give us stuff that is like actionable, right? I will not have fluffy guidance come through, will not. So you can expect that anything that comes through in a channeled way from me or Melissa will be things that support the lesson, but also help you understand the bigger picture and what it means for you, right? Not everybody in the world, but for you.
Yep, exactly. It's much more individualized, and it's something that's really going to help you get through the whole process of activating and engaging with your inner brilliance. I really love the way this has all come together in such a nice succession of events. And it was pretty much all channeled for Lisa and I to even put this out here. So here's our questions to you.
Are you ready? Are you ready to claim that inner brilliance once and for all? Remember, it is an evolution. But when you say, yes, I'm ready to know it, I'm ready to work with it, as I mentioned in other videos, the universe says, oh, good, yay, okay, let's go, right? So what's in store when you take the hand of the universe and you partner with it to really look at what is your fullest potential? And I can tell you, sure as my butt is on this chair right here, and it is, when you partner with the universe, things happen that you have no idea how they happen. You have no idea where they came from. They just show up and you say thank you and you step into it and you move on, and it's amazing. Amazing.
Yep, absolutely. And I love that last question. Are you ready to bring all of your light to a world that needs it? This is so fitting for a time of global transformation. And once again, it does not have to be Mother Teresa kind of light. You know, you do not have to go out and save the world. We each do our own parts individually, and that helps as a whole. As far as the whole energetic transformation goes, upping your frequency, upping your transformation with the global transformation helps the world immensely in its entire transformation. It's like something you can't see, but it's there. It's absolutely there.
It is there. And this is the time for those who have that calling to contribute to the world in a bigger way, to really embrace it and embody it and contribute your light to the world. That's really one of the reasons you're here, right? So how do we make this a better space for those that come after us, for us now, and for those that come after us?
Yep, absolutely. The adventure begins.
The adventure begins right now, right here, right with us, right? Yep. And for just $97, we really wanted it to be affordable for everyone who wants to step forward and receive this energy that comes from our heart and the guidance that comes from the universe through us to you, so that we all begin our adventure with this,
Yep, absolutely. We are committed to helping you. We are committed to helping the world as a whole. And we are putting ourselves out there for 4 weeks in this program for you at an affordable price of $97. I don't think there's, and that price actually came through from the universe too. It all did. Everything, everything we've done, we're like, what's it called? What's the name of the thing? Everything has come through, and we're just like following the path.
That's right.
And, you know, I like to put it like we're shining the light on the path
Yeah.
for those to follow behind us.
Yeah.
We're activating our inner brilliance right now, being on these videos, talking to you, putting it forward, putting this program out there, putting more out there even than that, and continuing to move forward with it all. We're shining a light for you to follow along behind us. So this is our offering to you, a 4-week program, group coaching program, group training together for $97. The easiest way to sign up for it and to find even a little bit more about it is the page to go to is commitlikeaboss.com/activate. Easiest way to find out about it and to go check it out. And that's where you sign up for it. And we'll also answer any questions you have. If you want to ask it below the video here in the Facebook group, or send us an email at team@commitlikeaboss. We will happily answer all your questions about anything you want to know about.
Yeah, and you know, if you're not sure if this is right for you, reach out to us. We're happy to tune in to the universal consciousness and see. My sense about that is that if you are even considering it, then there's something there for you. And I'm not saying that to sell you on it, because you can join or not. That's entirely up to you. But I'm saying if there is a curiosity, if it pings you, then there is something there for you. So maybe think about what's possible if you said yes to yourself. Yep. It's really about saying yes to yourself and committing to yourself with this through us and our work.
That's right. This is the first commitment. This is one of the first steps in the commitment. The first one was showing up to these free videos and learning how to do these things. And we have a couple more to go where we're going to talk about putting all this together and everything that we've talked about. It's not just to sell this program. This is actually a 5-day mini course in its own right to help you understand what it is to activate your inner brilliance. Taking that next step, like those 6 steps that I talked about earlier: awaken, believe, clarify, decide, execute, and focus. It's all part of this process. Right. You've already awakened. You already believe in a sense because you're here. Right. Now the next part is to clarify and decide and execute and move forward with the steps that you've taken to wherever it's going to lead you. We can't tell you where that's going to lead you, but I have a really good feeling that it's somewhere good.
Yeah, and the thing is that you have to have a lot of faith in and trust that if you're called toward this, if there's something about this, then that's the universe speaking to you. Doesn't always come with a big sign, go here, do this thing, like I mentioned yesterday, because it respects free will. But, you know, if this is a topic that intrigues you, then, I don't know, I'd say follow those breadcrumbs. Because you don't know where they'll lead. And where you think they'll lead, you could go in a whole different direction that's 1,000 times better. Prince does that to me all the time. He'll give me one little crumb and I'll be like, well, all right, we can do that. And then I do it sort of begrudgingly because I don't know where it's going. Right. And like amazing things happen. And things that are much better than what I originally thought we were going to do. Every time. And so maybe that'll be the case here for you too.
We'll be back tomorrow to actually go over everything that we have reviewed, everything that we've talked about, and put it together in a real concise way so that you know what we talked about and what are the next steps to take for you going forward with learning about your inner brilliance and activating it and engaging with it. So we will plan on seeing you in day 4 video.
Yep, we will. See you there. Bye for now.
Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.